The show where anything goes. Motivation, mindset, recovery, philosophy, and life. We become who we are through what we experience. We all have a story, and this is My Backstory with Josh Boyer.
And boom! Here we are. Episode of the My Backstory podcast, episode number 15 with Marcus. I'm going to totally butcher this name, man. Torgerson?
Yep, you got it.
Did I get it?
Yeah, you're good to go.
Oh,
yep.
Nice. So check it out, man. A little backstory here with Marcus. I actually took a class with Courses of Action with Johnny Primo, and I met a guy named Mark Carey at this class in Linden, in the middle of pretty much nowhere. And so we met each other there. We were following each other on Instagram. And he connected me with Marcus. Was like, man, you need to check this dude out. You guys are kind of like in the same mindset, same stuff. You guys would click for sure. So I was like, yeah. So like he connected us, and he was right. I mean, I totally 100% connected with Marcus. And it's funny because I'm just now meeting him for the first time in person. We're here in the beautiful city of Rancho Cucamonga, California.
Cucamonga.
And Cucamonga, taking the hood out of neighborhood. So yeah, we're here in Rancho Cucamonga, and this is my first time meeting Marcus, and I felt like I've already known him.
Yeah,
I feel like I know him already.
Yeah,
so it's really cool and super authentic, and like, so we're gonna have a conversation right now. I'm gonna let Marcus share his backstory with you, where he grew up, what he's all about. He's a Krav Maga master, Krav Maga expert.
Yeah.
He's going to go ahead and explain all that. Yeah. I don't know all the ranks.
I'm a master of one thing, and I don't want to say what that is.
Masturbator.
Yeah, I might even be a grandmaster.
Yeah, attaboy. So I'm gonna let Marcus share with you guys his backstory, where he grew up, what his life was all about, what got him into Krav Maga, and kind of what his passions are now, what his goals are, what his motivations are, and kind of what drives him. So, Marcus, go ahead and take it away, man.
Okay. So my name is Marcus Torgerson. I'm almost 50. Grew up in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada.
It's beautiful up there, man.
Yeah, you can have it. And if anybody's listening and you're from Vancouver, you know it's 70% rain. It's just miserable. But I have a beautiful son in Vancouver. Lives with his mom, Logan. He's over 20, Jesus. And now I currently live in Texas with my wife.
Where about in Texas are you?
Fort Worth.
Fort Worth is awesome, actually.
Yeah, well, the whole state of Texas is awesome.
Dude, Texas is like its own country.
It is. As a matter of fact, that's how I've said that more than once. Man,
what brought you to Texas?
My wife.
Really?
Yep.
So she's Texas born and raised, or what?
No, she's been there for most of her life, but to Texans, she's still a foreigner. She's been there like 30 years or something. But yeah, Texas, I mean, America in general. You guys, this country is the best country on the planet, and nobody's ever going to change my mind on that.
Right.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm gonna go ahead and agree with you.
Yep. Well, and if anybody's ever traveled outside of America, they should all be saying, yep, you're absolutely right. America's the best country in the world.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's nothing better.
So you're born in Vancouver.
Yep.
And go into that a little bit, like your dad, your mom, like how.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
if you don't mind.
No. Like I said, if you ask, I'll answer, because I suck at volunteering. My mom raised me. My dad died when I was very young. And my mom was an alcoholic. So if you've ever grown up in an alcoholic household, you know that it can be touch and go. And she was violent. She was a very aggressive, bad drunk. Right. But she did the best she could, and I didn't fully appreciate what she did until she died, like most people on the planet, right? You don't appreciate anything till it's gone. But she did the best she could, and was not the best youth on the planet. I definitely was. I didn't do well in school. I never graduated from high school. I didn't do well in school. Wasn't a good student. Hung out with what people would say is the wrong crowd, but for me, it was those were my guys, and hanging out with them, doing things that
probably had similar upbringings as well. Yeah.
Probably pretty similar. So, you know, and I can't change my past, right? So I'm not going to say that my past defined me to who I am now, but it definitely had a reason that I am the way that I am due to how I was brought up.
Totally.
So childhood was comme ci, comme ça, a little, for those that speak French. I don't. It's as French as I get. It was so-so. Yeah, it was so-so. And then, you know, going into, well, adulthood, as I get to my adult years, I started becoming a personal trainer for fitness. That was my first business was as a personal trainer. Did that. The fitness industry has been probably I've had one of 4 jobs any given time. Fitness is one of them. You know, bouncing in bars, being a doorman, martial arts since I was 10. Wow. You know what I mean? What'd
you start with? I mean, I know you're into Krav Maga now.
Right.
What did you start with?
Well, when I was 10, I started with this Chinese kung fu system called Hung Gar. It's a southern system. And that was like, I literally ate, slept, and drank martial arts. You know, most kids are like playing baseball or football or soccer, and I sucked ass at team sports. I was about as athletically inclined as a fucking tree. No, I'm serious. I had no coordination. It's funny. People looking, I'll throw footballs now or do something. They're like, fuck, man, you're a stud. I'm like, fuck. If I had this when I was 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, then I might have been. But I was useless as tits on a bull. It was useless.
I wasn't very athletic either. I mean, I played football, dude. And I think that's why I played football. It was because, like, it doesn't take, like, really... I mean, I know there's a bunch of football players out there probably going to hate me for this.
Yeah.
But the positions that I played didn't require, you know, a super amount of skill.
Okay, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was like I played linebacker and fullback for the first part.
Just
and
kill everything that's in front of you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like find the ball and kill that guy.
Yeah.
You know, so it was very simple. And then... Yeah, so I too did not have the most athletic ability, but it is what it is.
Well, and I tell jokes about it, but people think I'm being like I'm joking, but it's so serious that, like, you know, where you pick teams, you're like, okay, we'll take him. So, like, I was last always, and they're like, look, if we'll give you 5 points if you take Marcus. Like, I was the guy, no word of a lie. I'd like get the ball and I'd like score, yeah, and they're like, hey, you fucking idiot, you just scored on your own net. I'm like, oh. So it doesn't count. So, but when it came to martial arts, because it was an individual thing and I was getting my ass kicked on a regular basis and, you know, stuffed in lockers and all the fucking cliche bullshit, that was me, you know, for sure. But martial arts was my escape, man. I loved everything about it. Fucking kung fu movies and just everything about it that was my escape. That was my happiness. Yeah. And it hasn't really changed in 40 years.
So when did you come to? So when you turned 18, you became an adult. Did you stay in Canada?
I stayed in Canada for most of almost all of my adult life. Everything didn't really change until, you know, my late 30s. Really? I didn't do a lot of traveling at all. I'm definitely making up for it now, but no, as a young man, I stayed in Canada. I was married in my mid 20s, and even though that relationship didn't work out, I just still got mad respect for my first wife. She incredible woman. Great mom, great everything. I was just a shitty husband.
I mean, I think it takes a special person to be able to admit that, you know, and it's something that I've talked about openly too, you know, that where it's like, I may not have a good relationship with my ex-wife, you know, but and she's the mother of my son. Yep.
And at one point you loved her.
At one point I did.
Yep.
I definitely am not on that level right now. However, the one thing that I am willing to do, and I will always do, is take my ownership to why or how it failed. Yep. I mean, it always takes two, like they say. Yep. But I got to take my part and say, hey, man, like, I wasn't doing these things, or I was doing these things, and it just wasn't good. Yeah. You know. Yep. But everything, like everything, happens for a reason. Like, you married a new woman that you obviously love, and I married an amazing woman. And it's like, connect the dots later, man.
Yep. And I think the hardest part for me personally when it comes to relationships with anyone, but women specifically, is, you know, I'm almost 50, and I'm coming to this realization that, you know, the common denominator for fuck ups is me. So I have to look in the mirror and say, okay, what is it that I'm doing on a regular basis, even if it's disguised as something else? Right. At the end of the day, you know, the common denominator for the women that I've hurt is because I was a fucking idiot. I'm a hard man to love, and that's because of how much of a fucking asshole I can be to myself. Yeah. And when you can't stand the man that's in the mirror, or person in the mirror, nobody can love you because you don't love yourself.
Not only that, I think you know, a lot of that has to do with the fact that your upbringing. You know, look at what your model was. You know what I mean? And that's and dude, I'm in the same boat with you, man, because I think up until probably recently, even when I first married my wife that I'm married to now, I was still struggling hard, man. Mm-hmm. Like, and I was not a good communicator. I took everything personally. Whenever I would lose my sense of security with my wife, it was like, I'm out the door. Mm-hmm. I didn't understand communication. I didn't understand the dynamics of a relationship even. It was like all or nothing. Yep. You know, there was no gray area for me. Yeah. And a lot of that stemmed from the relationship I had with my mother, or lack thereof. Right. Because when I would lose my connection with my mom, bad shit would happen to me when I was a kid. Yep. Like super bad shit. Yep. And so I think subconsciously had this idea that when I would lose my connection with my wife, it was going to be catastrophic. She's out the door, she's leaving, and I'm mentally and emotionally preparing for that to happen. Hiroshima, you just fucking mushroom it out. And a lot of times, man, like it was like self-sabotage, dude. I was sabotaging it myself because it was like, oh, you're getting too close. I don't know about all that. Yep. You know, now you can hurt me like really bad, and I don't know if I really want that. Yep. It's funny though, you know, as we get older, we start really looking into that and being like, dude, what the fuck is wrong with me?
Well, and when you look at your past and you see the destruction that you've left. Oh yeah. Okay, you cannot sit there and look in the mirror and say, no, everything that I'm a hurricane, I've just destroyed all these lives. Yep. That's not because of them. Right. If it happens once, okay, that's good. But when it happens 3, 4, 5 times, you know, you're the asshole. You need to fix that shit. And that's where I'm at right now. At the end of the day, is there's broken things inside, and if I don't fix them, I am not going to continue whatever years I have left. Right. I'm not going to be good for anybody. Yeah. Right. And you know, I get people consistently saying, you know, Marcus, fuck, on social media, you're so authentic and blah 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 blah. And the truth is half the time when I'm doing those posts where I'm talking to my fucking phone, it has nothing to do to anybody. 90% of the time I'm talking to myself. Dude, right? So spot on. Yeah. Because I think it's true, and I don't know. I'm sorry. Or I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I'm stealing whoever's quote this is, but because I don't know who it belongs to. But they say that the advice you give is the advice you need to hear. Yep. And that's usually the way, that's almost always the way it is with me. Whatever advice I'm going to give somebody is usually what I need to hear the most. Yeah. Well, if you remember, what's that saying? If I'm pointing at you, there's 3 more fingers being pointed back at me. Definitely. Right? So whatever I'm saying to you is more than likely going to myself. Yeah. Yeah, I had a therapist the other day. I go and see a therapist as much as possible, so about once a week, right? Okay. And we just work through our things, and that's the other thing that I've been open about is like ending that stigma of mental health, right? Yep. Of saying like, hey, I got some issues. Mm-hmm. I'm okay with going and talking to somebody about it, man. Yep. I'm not going to hold on to that anymore. Yep. I think it's silly and it's dangerous, destructive. Yeah, for sure. Yep. And one of the things she told me was that I was finding that interactions I was having, even with my wife and with other people, is that they would tell me something and then I would take ownership to whatever it is they were telling me. Mm-hmm. When in actuality, it's like, that's their shit. Yeah, man. Like, that's their shit. Why am I taking ownership of that? Like, it has nothing to do with me. Right. Like, they're upset and they want to vent and they want like whatever. And I'll be like, oh, it automatically has something to do with me. First of all, like, who the fuck are we? Narcissist am I to make it all about me? It's like, no, it's not always about me. And sometimes, and when you kind of, so what she said was like, she visualizes in her head taking like a piece of paper and crumbling it up
and throwing it back to the person that's talking to her.
Right.
So she does it in her head, and when she does that, she's able to be more present.
Interesting.
And be able to just say like, hey, listen, like I know what you're telling me right now isn't about me.
Yeah.
It's about you.
Yeah.
And I can be more
present.
Just more present in the conversation for sure.
Yeah.
You know, instead of looking for a defense of what you're going to say next,
right.
you know?
Yeah. Fuck. Yeah. Know that.
So when did you get into Krav Maga, and why? You got into martial arts at like around 10.
Yeah.
When did the Krav Maga start?
Krav Maga didn't happen for decades later, 2005.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the only reason I started it was because the girl that I was dating at the time was so fucking restless and just a miserable person because I just was unhappy.
Right.
And so before I went into Krav Maga in the 90s, I took a system of karate called Uechi-ryu, which is an Okinawan system, very traditional, very basic, and probably some of the best moments in my life happened in that specific time. Yeah. So, now we're in the 2000s, 2005, I'm just fucking miserable. So the whole thing was I just wanted to be a student. Right. I'd owned a karate school already. I'd already gotten second degree black belt. Like I knew what it was like to be at a certain level. I just wanted to be a student. And in about 2000, a very close family friend of mine who had converted to Judaism said, you need to try this Krav Maga stuff. It's a fucking Israeli badass shit. And I'm like, okay. In 2000, I was not in a good place. So I wasn't listening to a fucking word anybody was saying to me. Yep. But for whatever reason, it resonated, stuck. So in 2005, I started searching for it. I'm in Vancouver. There's one club. So I went and I checked it out and tried it for a couple of months. And, regardless, it wasn't for me. What they were teaching wasn't for me, but I was hooked on the idea.
Yeah.
And the girl that I was dating at the time, fantastic woman, I would come back and I was like, fuck, this is not what I'm looking for. So whatever, the internet was going on. She was better in the internet than I was. And we searched for this Krav Maga stuff. And because of the fact that I grew up in traditional, like if I do Kung Fu, man, I'm all about the background to it. I was big about pedigree, right? So here I am doing Krav Maga, and I'm in with some people who have nothing to do with Israel, and for whatever reason that bugged me. So we've tried to find who was about Israel and Krav Maga, and the IKMF, the International Krav Maga Federation, that's the federation I'm with. We started looking, and this guy that was a part of the organization at the time was here in San Diego, doing a seminar for one day. Fuck, man, and so I messaged the organization at Canada, and it didn't have a location, it just had a fucking email address. So I emailed the guy. I'm like, hey, I want to do this stuff. He goes, yeah, we don't have any schools there in Canada. I'm like, okay, no shit, you don't, obviously. Right. He goes, but if you know anybody who wants to become an instructor, let us know. I'm like, okay, well, that was fucking useless. That was no use whatsoever. So I look and I see this guy, and the dates are important because in July of 2005, March of 2005, I quit the fucking school that I was with. July of 2005, this guy's from Israel is going to be in San Diego. So take money I don't have. She's like, that's what a credit card's for. I fly over for the day, do the seminar, three hours in July. I'm wearing fucking all black, okay? I'm sweating like a bastard, burns everywhere, look like a fucking lobster. And I was hooked. Everything about me said, Marcus, this is it. This is what you need to be doing. Right. So I talked to the guy. I'm like, okay, so what do we do? He's like, well, you can become an instructor. I'm like, okay, that isn't really, I want to be a student, man. I don't want to be an instructor. He goes, well, that's not your choice. If you want to do this stuff, you got to become an instructor. I'm like, fuck. All right. So what do I do? And he's like, well, you're going to have to contact this guy named Avi Moyal. He's the guy who deals with everything in Canada. Contact him. I'm like, fuck, okay. So I contact Avi Moyal. I'm like, hey. He's like, hey. And I'm like, okay, well, what do you want me to do? He's like, well, I'm going to be in Canada in August. I'm like, fuck, right on. Where are you going to be? Montreal.
It's like on the other side of the fucking
That's
country.
like LA to New York, right?
Right.
So I'm like, he goes, just come by and visit me. I'm like, oh, God bless you. No, that doesn't work that way. But okay. So I flew to Montreal. Right. And if you had seen me, brother, I'm wearing a fucking suit. Okay, blue suit, tie. I mean, I'm dressed like I look like Gordon Gekko, fucking reincarnated. And it's August. It's like a fucking 120.
Why are you in a suit?
Because I wanted to make a good impression.
I get that.
Right?
That's cool.
So I go there. I go to this. I find out later it's his sister's house. She lives in Montreal. So I come in. I knock on the door, and there's fucking kids screaming. Typical Israeli household. Typical household.
Right.
Kids are screaming, playing. Her husband came to the door. Hey, how are you? Yeah. They were expecting me. I'm like, okay. So I go. I say hello to Avi, and his wife's there, and their kids fucking just screaming everywhere. And I'm hyperventilating at how fucking hot it is.
Right.
So we talked for, I would, if it was longer than 10 minutes, it'd be a miracle. Right. Shakes my hand. He goes, you're the new director for Canada. I'm like, I have no idea what the fuck that means. He goes, you're going to be responsible for Canada for the IKMF. I'm like, he goes, but you got to become an instructor. I'm like, okay. And he goes, well, in October, come to Israel, stay with me for a month, and we'll do your instructor course. I said yes. Again, you have to understand, at no point in any of this do I really know what the fuck I'm doing, right? There's winging it, and then there's Marcus on the end of the fucking plane, basically hanging on by a fucking pubic hair, okay? Like, I'm just fucking, okay. Yeah. So I went back to Vancouver, and I said, here's what's going on. The girl I was dating was like, you're fucking retarded, man. Okay, do it. Yeah. No, I'd never traveled. Internationally, I think Hawaii had been the only place I'd fucking gone. Right. So I'm going to Israel in October for a month, and the shit that happened during that transformation was life altering. Now, what I didn't know at the time was, here I am doing this course, and it's just me and him. Yeah. I'm thinking this is normal. Okay, so I'm 13 now. We're flash forward 13 years. Avi has never done an instructor course with one person ever. Wow. Since
you saw something in you then.
Well, and happenstance or universe, whatever the fuck you want to call it, it was meant to be. Right. And that experience, from there, it's been a fucking roller coaster of different countries and different tests and different everything. It was just phenomenal. But that moment is by far there's been probably 3 key moments in my life where there's like, okay, this is the direction you're going to go, and something's come in and stopped me from going any further. Like, you're going to do this. Yeah. And that is definitely by far one of them where I've been like, you know what? Okay, whatever happens now is adventure. And it's been an adventure, to say the least.
So once you got your instructor certification, yep, then you started training up in Canada?
Well, yeah, but I was a man on an island because there was no schools. I had to just try to organize like instructor courses, and I only was a director for a couple of years, and then I gave it to another guy who was better for the job because I just wasn't the man for the job, right? It's just, and I suck at being politically correct, and I suck at politics, and if you're a fucking asshole, I think you're an asshole, and I'll tell you, I just suck at in a position where I'm supposed to be diplomatic.
Right. Face of the company.
Yeah. Fuck it. No, if I'm the face of anybody's company, we have a problem, because unless it's somebody with Tourette's. So after that, basically everything for me where I am right now starts in 2011. I became an expert, which is loosely the equivalent of a black belt. That's a loose equivalent because I don't really think that it's similar. And then I started being on a teaching team based out of Israel. We have a teaching team. And then in 2013 or 14, I don't remember which it is, I went to Israel and lived there for a year so that I could be a part of what we call our global instructor team. So that's like the A team, right? First tier, that's the team of us of 10 guys. And we go around the world, and we are responsible for the development of Krav Maga around the world. Different instructor courses, whether that's civilian, kids, women's, law enforcement, military, different subsections. Yeah. And our job is to go around the globe, make sure the courses are at a certain level. We do testing, rank testing, just to make sure that everybody's on the same fucking page. Yeah. And the cool thing is I'm the only non-Israeli.
Wow.
And that's something that kind of dawns on me, how the significance of that.
No, that's super.
Right. It's a big deal, and something that, when you're sitting back and you need a little ego boost, you sit there and go, fuck, okay, that's pretty cool.
Super cool.
Yeah. So then, and that's what I do all year long. I fly to different countries, do these courses, do these seminars, workshops, testing, blah, blah, blah.
So how much do you think with the Krav Maga, how much do you think you were pulling from your old, martial arts experience?
Well, my old martial experience, nothing. But from my upbringing in the past, I would say that I bring a significant amount of it to what we do. Now, everybody teaches Krav Maga in their own way. We're all on the same template. We all kind of follow the same principles. Nobody's making up shit. Right. But when I do seminars, or mostly the seminars is what separates us, because I grew up with violence around me on a regular basis, giving violence and receiving violence, I have firsthand knowledge on how the human body is going to react when that violence knocks on your door. Right. And that's what I try to bring when I go to these countries. Right. Because we usually are in a country where there are Krav Maga instructors. You know what? You got good people. We've certified these people. We know they know what they're doing. Go to them for your Krav Maga knowledge. I'm going to come in and I'm just going to let you see what it's like to fucking knock on the devil's door. Right. When you're dealing with violence, here's what's going to happen. I don't have a fucking PhD in anything like long term. I know when you get punched in the face, here's what happens. When you punch somebody in the face, here's what happens. And this is what we're going to do to make sure that you don't end up in the fetal position, fucking sucking your thumb crying. Yeah. Okay, we'll give you something to fight back and be able to kick violence in the balls and get the fuck out of there.
Where did that violence come from when you were coming up? Was it?
Well, yeah. So
if you don't mind sharing.
No, brother, listen, like I said, you can ask any questions. I'm going to tell everything. I got nothing to hide. When I was a very young boy, I was molested by a man. And then through later in my teen years, a different man molested me. So there's when you're violated as a child, or actually let me qualify that, in general, doesn't matter. Anybody who fucks with you and you can't fight back, or you choose not to fight back, whatever you want to call it, it alters you for life. You're never the fucking same.
Absolutely.
Now, with that, being molested, alcoholic mother, shitty student, and hanging out with, people say the word gangs. At the end of the day, a group of fucking punk kids doing stupid shit. Yep. Okay? Plus being bullied in school because I'm skinny and, breakdancing. So fucking everybody hates a breakdancer because we're trying to fucking get in with your women, right? smooth fucking mover and what have you. And before you know it, we're trying to knock boots with them. And you're some fucking tough guy that wants to punch me out, which usually worked. So you take all of that together, and like I said, I didn't just receive violence. Most people who have been bullied at some point in time have been a bully. And I've done things that regret or embarrassed of is an understatement. Right. But I see that the reason that I did all that stuff and received all that stuff, everything, the man that I am today and have been for the last few years, when I'm teaching a group of men, women, and I'm looking around the room, and people who have been violated can always smell the other people who've been violated. Totally. Right? Yep. Just the same as a predator, I know who's prey. Yep. And I'm not saying that with any type of proudness, but at the end of the day, I'm a fucking predator. I kill weak things. Right. But I do that from the fact that I'm weak inside. Yeah. And that's what I've built up as a protective mechanism. So I got kind of lost my focus there for a second, but that's what makes me, when I do my teaching or when I fucking ramble, you see what I'm like on social media, when I'm all over the place, is because of the fact that I'm coming from a platform of I've been violated, I've been hurt, I've been broken, and I've also done stupid shit to break and hurt other people. Right. And my job now is to make sure that, one, you or your loved ones, my job is to educate and empower you so that nobody like me can come and fuck with your life. Right. And by doing that, it helps me heal a little bit of the scars that are inside. They're never going to fucking fully heal. Everybody that's been hurt knows you can't ever make scars go away. Right. I don't really even know if I want them to go away, to be honest with you.
Part of who you are, man.
Yeah. But I'm not going to use the violence as an excuse for how I teach. Right. It's my past, right? Yep. It is what it is.
I think a lot of people don't. I mean, that's something that a lot of people don't talk about. I think if more people did talk about it, like for example, like I was molested as a kid too.
Really?
Yeah. And it's one of those things that a lot of people don't ever bring up. And I think that there's some of that is shame. Some of that is embarrassment.
Yeah.
And what's funny with my situation was that the guy's parents owned a Christian bookstore in the town I grew up in.
Isn't that a bitch?
Oh, dude. I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
So I somehow, I don't know if I talked to my mom about it or something, but I went into that bookstore and I had a pager at the time. So I left my pager number with his dad. And when his dad looked at me, he knew who I was. He knew. Like, I mean, I could see the way he was looking at me. Like, he knew who I was.
Yeah.
And I said, hey, is Tim here? I'd like to, I haven't seen him in a while, like whatever.
Yeah. And
I had a conversation with my stepdad before I went, and he kind of got aggressive with me. He like threw me on the ground and shit like that. My stepdad did.
Okay.
And his point was I wasn't ready to take a man yet. He didn't want me going into a situation with the potential of being hurt.
Yep.
And like, he kind of gave me the nod, I guess you could say, like when I was at that point where he was like, now you're ready now.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Cause I think he knew like I had a certain set of skills, cause he was I think a black belt in Hapkido. If it's I don't know if it's if it's a belt system like that.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So I think it was a black belt in Hapkido, brown belt in judo, and he
not somebody to fuck with.
Yeah. I mean, he knew his shit,
Yep.
And so he had taught me some things growing up, and I was just an angry little fuck, dude. You know what I mean? Like growing up, I was just an angry fucking kid.
It's got to come out some way, right?
Yeah, and I didn't know, like as an adult, like now I can look back on a lot of it and be like, oh, that all fucking makes perfect sense. Like, I remember, I don't have a relationship with my mom. We don't talk at all. We don't really need to go into too much detail about it, but it's just not safe for me to go there with her. So I just, of course, I just don't. But one of the things she did tell me was that when I got attacked by the dog, I posted about it on social media, but when I got attacked by the German Shepherd when I was 3, she said my personality completely changed. I went from this carefree, loving, kind kid to like angry at fucking everything. Yeah. And I was like, well, yeah, dude, it makes perfect sense. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I lost my sense of security. I got, violated by this dog, violated by this dude. Yeah. I'm drowning in a pool. Yeah. There's all this shit happening. And so violence for me, or anger for me, was a protection mechanism.
Of course. Yeah.
And I got to a point in my life where I almost lost sight of who I really was, I guess, when I was growing up, even in high school. Like if anybody looked me the wrong way, anybody said anything the wrong way, or whatever, I was always willing to throw hands with anyone. Yep. And I can look at it as a 37-year-old dude and be like, I'm not proud of that. Yeah. And there's a lot of people that I knew from my past that know me now. They're like, I think still look at me like as that loose cannon.
Of course. Yeah.
It's like that's fine. The reputation is the easiest thing to gain, the hardest thing to lose. Yeah. But I'm not that dude anymore. Right. I know what I'm capable of, but I don't need to go and fuck anybody up right now. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like I stay away from that kind of shit. Yep. And should it ever come and present itself to me,
different story.
Yeah. But I'm not going looking, because like back in the day, I think I was kind of looking for that altercation.
Of course.
And I asked my stepdad asked me once. He said, why are you so angry? Why do you want to fight so much? And the answer I had for him was, I liked the challenge. I like the challenge of, oh, you think you can take me? All right, let's go, motherfucker. Like, let's go. And it didn't matter how old you were. Yeah. It didn't matter how big you were. Like, I wanted to fight. Yeah. And I was never afraid to fight. I didn't care if you knocked my teeth out, if you punched, if you busted my eye open or whatever. It's like, I'm going to keep fighting. Yeah. And I'm not going to stop. Yeah. So I think, like, do you think for you, like, getting into martial arts or whatever was because you felt unsafe, like, as a child? And so you felt like you had to have something like a shell around you to protect you, or what do you think that came from?
It's a good question. Nobody's ever asked me that question. I'm bad with dates, so I didn't start martial arts. I don't think I started martial arts because of being molested. I think I just started martial arts because, one, I was shitty in sports, and I was getting my ass kicked, and I was of the belief that if I take this fucking kung fu, I'm going to kick some fucking ass. Little did I know that it was just going to get me more of an ass kicking. And then when I was in my teens and I got molested again by my martial arts instructor, it was, when you love something and then you have a memory where you're like, okay, I remember, I don't know, if I ate celery and every time I ate celery, I got kicked in the fucking balls. I'm not going to like celery very much.
Totally.
Bad. I don't know where the fuck that analogy came from.
Perfect analogy, man. I get it.
But I still kept doing martial arts even after being molested the second time or by the second person.
Right.
So I never associated martial arts with an escape. I just think, escape is a good word. I think martial arts was just the one thing that I knew was me. And no matter what, because I still kept doing martial arts regardless of being molested. I still did martial arts regardless of my mom fucking throwing beatings on me and, spanking me with a frying pan. You know what I'm saying? So martial arts was just that was my thing.
It's your outlet, probably.
Yeah. And without a doubt. And then, I stopped kind of doing it when I got into competitive bodybuilding because that was my new obsession.
Yeah.
Right? But even that was fucking because the chick that I was dating at the time was like, my ex-boyfriend's got really big muscles. Maybe you should fucking do them. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, you fucking see you next Tuesday. So what do I do? Fucking, I'm lifting but that was negative base. Like the only reason I started lifting was because this fucking bitch was sitting there like, I think this guy's hotter than you. And now,
our egos are such a trip, dude.
Well, and listen, when somebody tells you, you're not good enough. Right? Yeah. At the end of the day, that's
it's like a kick in the balls.
It is, with fucking steel-toed boots.
Yeah.
So everything that I do or have done up until whatever year it was that I started to do stuff for myself usually had an exterior motivation.
Yeah.
Right? It's almost cliche. I want to take martial arts because I'm tired of getting my ass kicked. I'm lifting weights because I don't like what I look like in the mirror. Yeah. Usually because somebody has said, hey, you know what? You're a fucking piece of shit. Right? It's not rocket science. Usually there's an external motivator that gets us to, and I haven't met yet. I mean, I know there are people that are just like, you know what? I lifted weight because I enjoyed the pump that I got from it, or I did martial arts because I liked it. Well, I can't relate to those people. That's fucking awesome. You're a healthy individual. Fuck off. I'm broken and unhealthy, and I try to surround myself with healthy people, but like Johnny.
Yeah.
Okay. Johnny Primo is somebody who I care about deeply. I fucking love that man. So much so that if he fucking texts right now, he's like, Marcus, I'm fucking so wherever, and see you bye, and can you give me a ride to the airport? Definitely. Or let's fucking just drive.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, his background is similar. Yeah. And when you're around broken people who have had some success, you tend to be around them a lot more.
You're drawn to them.
Yeah, because healthy people, what the fuck am I going to be around a healthy person for? How do I relate to you? Did you get beaten as a child? No. Did you fucking suck at school? No. Well, fuck, how the fuck am I supposed to sit there and have anything other than superficial conversations? And I suck at those. Right. I just fucking, it just doesn't do anything for me. Let's talk for real. Let's fucking, the realer, the better. Because this world's got enough fucking superficial bullshit going on, right?
Absolutely, man.
So,
and that's where I felt like, even with guys I grew up with, like there was always like something missing. There's always something that like, it's just like, dude, they, it was like Mayberry, dude. All their parents are married forever and like whatever. It's like if one of the parents got divorced, it's like, oh, geez.
Holy fuck.
Did you hear so-and-so's parents are getting divorced? It was like the talk of the town type deal.
Wow.
And I was like, man, do I got some stories for you.
Yeah.
So I think I used being a football player and being a fighter, I use that almost as like a shield to protect me from having to have like any kind of real interaction with people.
Yeah. Well, how are you supposed to relate to them?
Yeah. There was no relation there at all. I mean, other than, okay, we drank together, we played sports together, but there was no connection on a deeper level.
Yeah.
They couldn't understand some of the things that I had gone through, and they probably couldn't understand why I felt the need to knock people's teeth out and shit. They won't understand it. You know what I mean? And probably never will, and that's okay. But I do find, dude, that I am definitely drawn to people that have similar stories like me. And I've said it on the podcast before, and I'll say it again. It's like every single person that I've interviewed on this podcast has a very similar story to me.
Yeah.
I haven't planned that.
Yeah.
There's no script to this.
Yeah.
It's not like, you know what? I'm going to seek out Marcus because I think we probably have some similar shit.
Yep.
It's like, no, it just works out that way.
Yeah. And we've never talked about this subject on social media. You know, this is not something that we've hatched up or whatever.
No, not at all. And it's a trip because I really do think there's a magnetism to people like that where it's like, all right, cool. And not only that, but like there's people like you, like me, like Primo that are actively trying to be the best versions of themselves. Yeah. Actively trying to address their shit. Mm-hmm. They're willing to be vulnerable and own some of it. Yeah. And say, okay, how do I fix it? Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. Knowing that those scars, like you said, the scars are still going to be there.
Yeah. You're never
going to get rid of them.
No.
You know what I mean?
No.
And I tell you, man, we talked about Joshua Coburn.
Yep. Love Josh. Josh, if you listen to this, I fucking love you.
Yeah, you and me both, brother. I mean, honestly, like there was so many good takeaways from the conversation I had with him.
Yeah, there was a fantastic podcast.
And being like where it's like, dude, just own who you are, man, and be authentic and real. And those that matter, they'll be the ones that they're going to stick around. You know what I mean? The ones that matter. The ones that don't matter, trim the fat, get rid of it. You know what I mean? Those people don't add value. You know, they don't add value. So like, it's done. You know?
I agree.
So when you got out of Canada, which was what, 2000? So you went to Israel?
Yeah, no, I think I left Canada about 2013. Like when I started teaching in 2011, I was in and out of the country all the time. So I didn't actually live in Canada. I lived there, but I kept shit there. But you know, I was a nomad. Yeah. And I've always felt like a nomad because I never really felt like I belonged anywhere. Now, Israel is definitely my second home. Everybody I really care about on this planet is in Israel. I fucking love them. I love the country, everything about it. And then now I live in America and I will be naturalized at some point in time and I will be an American citizen. And that for me will be where I can say, you know what? I have a home now. And it's nothing against Canada. If there's any Canadians listening, I don't want them to sit there and be like, well, fuck you and you don't care about the maple leaf. I bleed the maple leaf. I got the fucking maple leaf on my arm. Right. Okay? And I will always be Canadian. Right. And I have a pride of Canada. I just didn't fit in. Right. It wasn't me. And you know, I don't fit in Israel. I don't fit in here in America. The truth is I don't fit in anywhere because I don't like who the fuck I am. Right. So when you don't like yourself, you're not going to fit in anywhere. Yep. Right? Totally. So when I get naturalized, I'll be an American citizen. I'm hoping that by the time that comes, I might actually fucking look in the mirror and like who I see. Yep. I'm hoping, you know.
That's what's kind of funny is my wife used to always, you know, talk shit to me because I always wanted to move. Yeah. I'm always wanted to move. Let's go here. Let's go here. Like, it's like, dude, I don't even know how many houses we've lived in the last like 10 years or whatever. But, right. I think a lot of that was around the fact that I could never be settled because I wasn't happy with where I was as a person or who I was as a person. Right. So I was constantly trying to move, gotta move.
Because if you move, maybe something different will happen and you'll be happier.
Yep. Knowing now, I mean, looking at it, it's like, no, like, it's not like when you attain this, then you'll be happy.
Well, that's what
everyone does. I mean, it's like the false bill of goods that everybody buys for the most part.
Yeah. If I lose 20 pounds, I'll be happy. If I have $100 million in the bank, I'll be happy. Yep. Just doesn't work that way. You
gotta be happy now.
Yep. And with who you are. And if not, fix whatever you can to try to be internally happy. Right.
And that was kind of the thing we talked about it earlier, off mic, that when I went out and met with Jeff and Mitch and Ray, it really put a spotlight on some of my shortcomings. Yep. Kind of where I am currently. And that's one of the things I've really been trying to do is that I think a lot of unhappiness or a lot of like being discontent with who you are and what you are and where you are. Mm-hmm. A lot of that is a lack of honesty with yourself. Mm-hmm. Of course. You're really not being truthful with kind of where you are. Yep. And I never really saw it. Like when you're in it, you don't really see it. You're like, oh, like, nah, I'm doing good things. I'm like testing myself mentally. But am I testing myself emotionally? Am I testing myself spiritually? Am I really, really, really pushing myself to the point that where I'm almost at the point of breaking? Like, no, I'm not. And for me, I know as a person, like, that's what I need. Yeah. I need to test myself all the time. Yep. If I'm not testing myself, I'm not happy. Yeah. I'm just not. And like my wife brought it up the other day that, you know, when she said like, oh, you quit drinking, it's almost in a couple, like 2 weeks from now, it'll be a year.
Congratulations.
Thanks, brother. And that part of the deal was that I wasn't a raging alcoholic. I don't have some crazy story of, I mean, have I done some serious stupid shit when I'm drunk? Absolutely. Have I ended up in jail? Yep. Been there too. Yep. But I was never at a point where alcohol was like, oh, the end all, the be all. I couldn't survive or I couldn't live my life without having a drink. Yeah. It was more the idea of I didn't like the power that it had over me. Yep. I didn't like the fact that I had to, when I would go out, I had to have a drink in order to feel comfortable in a social setting.
Social lubrication.
Totally, dude. And I didn't like that. So I removed it from my life. And my wife was like, well, you know, you see, like, you do these things because you want the challenge. Yeah. It's like my adrenaline rush, you know? And I do it with everything. It's like recovering from my surgery with no pills, right? It was like, yes, I was an addict there. That I definitely can attest to. That I was definitely an addict with the opiates and stuff. But I wanted the challenge, though. Let's be truthful. You know what I mean? Like, I didn't want to be on opiates, but I also wanted to challenge myself to prove that I could do it. Yeah, fair enough. You know? Yeah. And I think that's that fighter mentality, dude. Well, and I hate the word survivor because there's a for me, there's still a negative connotation to it. But when you're a survivor, right? Anything you do to knock whatever's on your fucking shoulder off, the challenge is I'm not going to let that beat me, right? So, like you, I quit drinking a little over 3 years ago. Oh boy, congrats, brother. And I didn't. You know, and to those of you that are out there that are going to meetings and support systems and what have you, please don't take this the wrong way. I just quit. Yep. And I quit because of the fact that, one, I was tired of getting up in the morning and looking at my phone and seeing how much did I have to say sorry. Yep. What did I fuck up this time? And alcoholism is genetic. Yeah. I don't give a shit what anybody says. It's part of the equation for sure. It is. And I've got my mom, my grandmother, my grandfather on my mom's side. My dad, from what I hear, was an alcoholic as well. So I got fucking generations of alcoholics. And the problem with that is you can drink a shit ton and it's never a big deal. Right. Blackout drunk. Well, yeah, okay. It's par for the course, right? So no matter who you hurt. Now, if I had my ex-wife and the other lady that I had a long-term relationship with. Now, I didn't drink a lot with my ex-wife. I didn't drink a lot. When I was a teenager, I was into bodybuilding. So I was the other direction. Yep. Like while most kids are fucking 16, 17 drinking up a storm, I was like drinking protein shakes and, getting up in the morning to have steak and fucking whatever because I need to eat 10,000 calories. Yeah. So when I became an adult, or whatever an adult is, then I really started drinking. And once I got a taste for it, there's no going back. And the worst part about alcohol is it brings out whatever's inside. So if you're a nice person, you're a good drunk. If you're not a nice person, you're not a good drunk. And I was a fucking horrific drunk. Like the worst kind of drunk there could be. I'll knock out anybody. I don't give a shit who it was. Now, would I do that when I was sober? Yep. But I sure did it a lot worse when I was drunk. Yep. So my point is, when I was talking to people, I just quit. I don't want that to seem like it's easy. It's not. Every day, for 2 years, I drank tonic water, like Schweppes tonic with a lime and a fucking ice, and I would carry it. And that, I would drink 6 or 8 liters of that a day because that was the hand-eye coordinate, like smoking, there's the, and to this day, if I go somewhere or when I'm on a flight, they're always coming by with the fucking beer and alcohol. So I'll just have tonic and coffee I don't give a shit if the flight's 2 hours or 12. Yeah. Tonic and coffee. And I'll have fucking a shit ton of it because I will not drink again. Yeah. And that's kind of I think you're the second person that's been on the podcast that we've talked about this with alcohol in specific, where we don't go to meetings. Yep. I mean, like when I stopped drinking, like I said, I'm not claiming to be like this, I was this raging alcoholic. I couldn't live my life without it. Mm-hmm. There's people that I know that that they had an issue with alcohol. I had an issue with alcohol. Definitely. I was using it as a social lubricator, and I was using it to like not have to address any of the issues that I had internally. I was like, oh, I'll just drink, and then it all goes away, and I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But I don't think it was at the point. It definitely was at the point where I was, like I said, like I needed it to survive. But when I was ready to be done, I was just done.
Yep. Yeah.
And then when you talk to certain people that are in meetings or they ascribe to AA, it's like, dude, no, you have to go to your meetings. No, you have to work these steps. No, you have. It's like, no, I don't, brother.
Well, and I think that's the ignorance of. If you, Josh, don't need to go to a meeting, then you don't need to go to a meeting. If you do need to go to a meeting, then you do. There's no have to. You do whatever the fuck you need to do so that son of a bitch doesn't come back and haunt you. And whatever the fuck that is, I don't give a shit. If you have to sit and rub fucking cocoa butter on you 3 times a day to make sure you don't drink, then buddy, go to Costco and get a big shit ton of that. And God bless you, go to it. I don't give a shit. As long as it's not hurting anybody else.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
Good on you.
And it's cool because I think that like there needs to be a conversation about that, because I think a lot of people that are in AA or whatever, it's like, it's almost like a judgment, like, oh, well, if you're not going to meetings, oh, you're going to drink again, buddy. Yeah, you're not really addressing the shit.
Right.
You're just a dry drunk. And it's like,
I don't know what the fuck that means. That's like saying that a heroin addict or any kind of addict is not a real addict if they don't go and do something like that. I think that's complete fucking bullshit.
Yeah, I do too.
Right?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had to go to children. Fuck, what is the title? Like children who have alcoholic parents. It was a meeting. Al-Anon. Yeah. So I went to about 2 or 3 of those, and I was like, everybody's crying and fucking telling their sob stories. I'm like, and trying to compare sob stories is ridiculous. Maybe you got slapped with a belt, right? And I got slapped with a frying pan. Yep. So is one supposed to be harder than the other? Fuck that. If violence came and touched your body, who gives a shit about it? It's not a pissing contest. Oh. And if you deal with it by writing in a journal and letting it all out in that journal, and that journal's never going to see the fucking light of day, but it's what's keeping you from sucking on a bullet or slashing your wrists, then write that fucking thing as often as you need to so you can stay alive. Absolutely. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And so I swear, I hope I never hear somebody come up and say, well, you're not really, dealing with your shit if you don't go to meetings, because I'll knock them the fuck out, because that is bullshit. It's total bullshit. It's taking away the success of somebody. You've gone almost a year. You know how fucking hard that is? Yeah.
Yep.
Good for you. And if somebody else needs to go to 2 meetings a day, every day for the next year or 10 years or whatever, do it. Whatever it is, just don't give in. Don't take a drink, and don't fucking do something that's you're gonna regret and pass the pain on to someone else.
Right. That's kind of like, I think, like talking to you and then talking to my buddy Phoenix. It was the same deal. Like
cool name, by the way.
Phoenix.
What a fucking cool name.
I love that name.
Yeah,
Phoenix.
That's why I have a Phoenix on my arm, man. That's
Phoenix
awesome.
is my boy, man. That's my best friend, and he, one of the things that he said was like, dude, when I was ready to be done, I was just done. I mean, he went to AA meetings in the beginning, and then he just realized like, this isn't for me.
Yep.
And it was the same thing that I did when I quit. I was like, well, yeah, I can use a support group. Like, why not? Like, we're all on the same journey. Cool. Let's go check it out. So I went to a couple meetings, and the one thing that I had an extremely hard time with, was I'm powerless over alcohol. I can't do it, dude.
I understand that without a doubt. And I can't say I disagree with it, because if you say you're powerless without it, that means it has control over you. Well, the truth is you say that you didn't really have you just knew that the reasons why you drank were not healthy. Right. And which is probably the reason why you were able to get it out of your system. Out of your system easier. At the end of the day, it just doesn't, like, I really believe it just doesn't matter. If I just don't ever want somebody to put down someone else.
Totally.
Because they didn't do it the way that whoever says that you're supposed to.
And that's what it was kind of coming down to. The whole meeting thing was like, hey, listen, like, I don't need to go to meetings to be sober. But if you do, I'm all for it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I will never, ever, ever disrespect AA, because I think it's helped millions of people. And I'm totally all about it. I'm like, dude, that's totally rad, man. But for me, obviously for you, for Phoenix, like, we personally don't need it to stay sober. We find other ways to stay sober. And the other thing that I found too is that like people make their own definitions of sobriety, right?
Yes. Yeah.
And so like if I was actually at a party with a buddy. It was for his daughter's birthday, and all the guys that are there, they all drink.
Yep.
And I don't drink anymore. So it's like, okay, whatever. And as the months go by, it loses its power more and more where it's like, dude, I'm good. Like I'm comfortable in my decision and it's all good.
And don't change your shit because you think you need to for me.
Exactly.
Fuck that.
You know what I mean? I'll go to dinner, I'll go to a bar, and I have no problem just chilling and having water, right? So we're at this party and my buddy John was like, hey man, I bought you some O'Doul's, or I think it was O'Doul's or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I was like, thanks dude, I appreciate that, man. So I had one. Okay. Like, I'll have an O'Doul's, whatever. Yep. And there was a guy there that was part of AA, and he had a serious drinking problem, and I think he's been sober for like a year. And he's like, hey, you're drinking an O'Doul's? I was like, yeah, I don't drink anymore. Yeah. And he's like, well, you're having an O'Doul's? And I was like, yeah, and he's like, well, if I were to have one of those, shit, after I have that, I'll be next door, grab my bottle of scotch and just down this whole bottle of scotch. I was like, well, then I highly recommend that you don't have an O'Doul's.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, different strokes for different folks, brother.
And one is not more or less important than the others. Right. And
I enjoy the taste of beer. Yeah. I like the taste of beer. Yeah. And if I could have a non-alcoholic beer. Yeah. And I'm different than other people, dude. I'm different than the next guy. You know what I mean? Like, there's times where, Phoenix has been sober for 6 years. Yep. And he'll have a near beer every once in a while, if he feels like he wants the taste of beer, but he doesn't want the alcohol that assist in some of the poor life choices and shit like that. Yeah. Then he'll have a near beer, whatever. And it's like, it doesn't set him back in his sobriety, man.
No. And like I have to do shit like Guinness. I fucking love Guinness. Okay. Yeah. And so if there's somebody who's got Guinness, I'll smell it. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And that's enough for me. Yeah. When I eat a big fucking steak, I associate steak with red wine. Okay, I fucking love red wine,
hand, brother.
Right? So now
it's great pairing.
When I have steak now or any red meat or anything that used to make a noise, I won't have red wine. But if somebody in the table does, I'm like, can I smell that? And the smell is enough for me. Yeah. Because you know what? I fucked that responsibility up. Okay? The reason I don't drink is because I can't handle my shit. So you know what? Since I can't handle my shit, I'm going to respect it and be like, you know what? I'm not going to have any. Really quick story. My wife and I went to a place and we were having some dinner and I ordered tonic. And this, God bless her, she's fucking probably old enough, 19 or something, barely old enough. She comes back, she gives me a drink, I take a sip and I spit out because there was gin in it.
Oh, shit.
And my wife looks at me and I fucking start bawling, man. I'm crying. I'm like, fuck. All those fucking months or years at the time, 2 years, I think. And I'm fucking furious. And this bitch comes back and she's just like, well, sorry. And I'm like, sorry. It's just, she's, and when I say bitch, I shouldn't say it. She didn't know any better. Yeah. She doesn't understand. Yep. So they're like, oh, sorry or whatever. And then they had to get another server. And then the fucking other server comes up and he's like, okay, like it's no big deal. I'm like, you understand? I've been trying to not put this shit in my body and you fuckers are giving it to me like it's no big deal. Which, well, you know what, Marcus? To them, it's not a big fucking deal. Yep. So why are you going to fucking threaten to set them on fire? Oh, I was fucking furious.
Oh, I bet.
I was beyond, like my wife had to fucking seriously take me down because I was ready to kill everybody in the restaurant. Everybody. Yeah. I didn't give a shit.
When you feel minimized, you know what I mean? It's like, dude, when you're minimized, like, no, you don't understand what my sobriety is to me, dude.
Well, yeah. And then the manager comes up, he's like, well, we'll give you a dessert. I'm like, you're fucking kidding me. Where did you learn to become a fucking server? Because wherever it is, I'm going to go there and set them on fire too because they're fucking retards.
I wish I could have been a fire.
Oh, fuck. Honestly. And my wife did a pretty solid thing. She went and took a sip. Right. And I looked over and I was honestly, I don't know if they were tears of anger or I don't know which ones they were, but there was a combination. And I looked over because then we were even again. Yeah. Right? Yeah. But it's still, as far as I'm concerned, because I'm fucking an idiot and I don't have a gray area. Yeah. I say 3 years, almost over 3 years, but there's a fucking asterisk Kind of like those fucking Sammy Sosa and right,
Mark McGwire.
Yeah, which I think is bullshit. If they knocked it out, they knocked it out. Don't put a fucking asterisk.
Yeah, they worked their asses off. Yeah,
don't
get that strength.
Yeah,
and that batting
fuck
style.
you guys.
Yeah.
No anabolics knock that ball out. They still
agree.
put in the work. So, but I still in my brain, I still have an asterisk.
Yeah.
And it'll be there for forever. There's no.
That's your own shit, though. Right?
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
Your own
that's
shit,
my garbage,
Totally.
and I can't. And that's why I'm a little more understanding when people say I had a slip or whatever. Look, man, slip, do whatever. Get back on the horse. Where I won't have any tolerance is I'm not gonna support it. You had a slip, okay, get up, then get the fuck back on.
Yep.
And addicts of any addict. You either fucking do it or you don't. There is no fucking gray area in that aspect, because that's how you got there in the first place.
But I think that's the problem though, with a lot of people though, whether it be drugs, whether it be alcohol, whether it be food even.
Yep.
It's like, oh, I'm on the paleo diet or the keto or whatever it is I'm doing, and I'm on this diet, I'm doing so good.
Yep.
And then Christmas rolls around and you see the cookies and you start chowing down, you're like, fuck it. And you just keep going down the path. And like, I had a really cool guy that he's a CrossFit instructor, owns a CrossFit Academy and Team CrossFit Academy in Monrovia. And that's one of the things he said. I think it was he must have been doing a seminar or whatever. Maybe we were talking offline. I'm not sure. But he's like, dude, just get back in the saddle as soon as possible.
Yep.
Don't just keep taking the train down the wrong path. Get back and go the other direction that you know you're supposed to go or that you initially intended to go. And that's the same thing with alcohol and shit like that. And I think that was the other part where, whether it be diet or drinking or whatever, that there's a lot of shame associated with it. If you do, you're human though. And shit happens. Like you have the asterisk there, but I know that asterisk because I can feel it. Is a lot of shame. Like, fuck, I fucked up. And you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. It wasn't like you purposely said, hey, give me a gin and tonic. And, oh shit, never mind, I don't want that. It's like, no, you said you want a tonic and they brought you something you didn't ask for. Because I had another buddy that, same thing. He was at a wedding. They thought it was a non-alcoholic drink. Took a sip. And he had been sober for 10 fucking years, man. Took a sip and just went off the fucking rails.
But now where I'm going to call bullshit is when somebody sits there and has a drink or whatever, and then they go off the rails. They were looking for an excuse to fucking let it go. Oh, you know what? I've been eating clean this whole week, and I had a cookie. Fuck it. I'm going to go and do whatever. You know what? Bullshit. You wanted to fucking have the first reason. That's why, infidelity. You don't fucking cheat on your spouse accidentally.
Nope.
You were looking for an opportunity and you fucking did it.
Absolutely.
Right? So just own it, man. Just fucking be there and say, you know what? I fell off and I'm fucking, you know what? I give up and own it. Be a human being. Say, you know what? Fucking, I'm going back to being a drunk. Okay, cool. At least I'll respect that. Don't fucking come up with excuses. Yeah. Right?
No, I mean, it was an interesting story when I first heard it, with the whole, he didn't realize that there was alcohol in that drink, and then it kind of set him down that path. But I 100% agree with you that I think he was at a moment in his life, or at a point in his life, where it was like, fuck it.
I've done 10 years.
I've done 10 years.
I'm good.
And I've done what I set out to do. Maybe I don't want this anymore. And now, I mean, we're still friends to this day. So it's like,
whatever your choice is, that's cool.
It's your choice and whatever. And if you ever want to, get sober again, I support it 100%. I'm down with it. And that's the other thing too, is with sobriety, whether it be drugs, whether it be alcohol, I'm working on just not having any judgment where that's concerned, man. If you want to be clean, cool, man. If you don't, don't. You know what I mean?
Either way.
It's not my world, I want to take care of my side of the fence. Make sure that me and my family are all squared away. What you're doing is what you're doing. It's not my concern.
Well, just keep your shit to you and do you.
For sure. So when people I'll come around, if I don't drink, and then there'll be guys that do, and it's like, oh well, Josh doesn't drink. It's like, I don't care that you drink, man.
And all you're doing is making it fucking stupid.
It's super awkward.
And that's honestly, that's when I start bringing in jerking off. I'm like, okay, so I don't drink, so do you jerk off? And everybody's like, do you watch porn? So if I watch porn, you don't watch porn? Just completely, if you're going to be an idiot, then I'm going to fuck it right up and make you really uncomfortable. So you watch midget porn? What's the deal?
What kind of porn? I mean, what kind of, we go run the gamut.
You like little nurses? What do you got going on here? Amputees? What do you need? Just if you're going to be a fucking idiot and make a big deal about it, well, good. I'm gonna completely ruin what you're doing. Fuck you.
Totally.
Anyways.
So, I mean, when you got clean from drinking and stuff like that, you were doing the Krav Maga.
Oh, fuck yeah.
So you're in it. What are you doing now? Like, what's your MO? What are you into? I mean, you're doing the instructor stuff. Are you just traveling all over the world, like teaching people?
Yeah, that's right now my main gig is going to these countries and doing the courses that I'm asked to do, and seminars and what have you.
Do they pay for like your travel and all that stuff?
Yeah. I'm spoiled fucking shitless. It's a good gig. And you know, fuck. Like everybody, the grass is always greener. So like, fuck, you must have the best time. I'm like, dude, you know what? Airport, hotel, training spot, hotel, airport. Like I don't go and see anything mostly. And if anybody's ever had to teach for a living, they know your gas tank is done at the end of the day. I'm putting in an 8, 10, 15 hour day, however long it takes to get the job done. Yeah. My gas tank is done. I want to go to a fucking hotel room, eat maybe, shower, wash the fucking bullshit I've had in the day, and then chill out and decompress. Because I've been on, you know, when you have to be on all the time, sick, don't give a shit. You're getting paid. Fucking show up and do the job. Yeah. At some point in time, you got to be like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to fucking, I'm going to put on fucking Voodoo or some fucking movie that I've seen a million times, because that's what I do. I'm going to veg out. I'm going to fucking watch something that just lets me just chill the fuck out. Yeah.
We just got a TV for the first time in years. Like, Kathleen and I didn't have a TV forever.
Right, yeah.
And that's why I have so many damn kids. We need some kind of
Is that the... Oh, shit. I knew it was something.
Yeah, but no, we got a TV just recently. And so that's like my thing. When the kids go to bed, I'll chill out and I'll put on Vikings. That's like my...
Oh, yeah.
Like
I haven't seen it yet, but
Vikings,
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I had never seen it before. So like... I started the very first season and I just binge watch, you know? And so it's my thing. It's like just veg out. I don't really have to think. I'm just chilling. You know, I did whatever I was going to do throughout the day. Now it's my time to just relax.
Good call.
You know?
Fucking
for sure.
Good way to do it.
So what's your passion, man? What are you passionate about? You're doing the Krav Maga, the instructor. What's your passion? What drives you?
I'd say well, my son has special needs. He's got cerebral palsy, a very severe case of it. So my passion is trying to empower people who are having some challenges. And that's morphing into something else, which I'll talk about in a couple seconds. But because my son will never walk, he'll never talk, he'll never do anything. Now he's got a smile that'll help that'll melt the devil's heart. Okay, and a laugh that'll turn anybody, the grumpiest fuck on the planet, into a good mood. So those are his gifts.
Definitely.
But he'll never do anything what you'll do with your boys.
Right.
He'll never do that. So my one passion is making sure that those that are challenged, whatever physical or mental handicaps they have, whatever it is, that I can give them something to let them feel whatever normal is. I'm doing fucking air quotes, whatever normal is. Right. I want them to not be pushed into a corner. And anybody who has any children or family members with special needs, you know that fucking feeling of getting pushed in the corner where they're being ignored. So my passion is to go and do. We have this thing called adaptive Krav Maga, and it's.
I think I saw you post something about it. And I was like, dude, that made me cry actually.
And that's been so far the highlight of my teaching career, working with those beautiful people when I was in Missouri, and you know, it's taking people that they already know their situation. Okay, somebody who's got cerebral palsy or somebody who's is handicapped in any way, they know their limitations. That's not the point. The point is for them to feel alive and be like, you know what? I'm going to fucking block this punch. And I know I'm not going to be able to fucking knock anybody out. But you know what? I'm like the normal, again, quotes, normal person. I can do what they're doing. Yeah. And fucking rights. Yes, you can. You can do it, no problem. Now, it's morphed into my real passion. My mission is to do the same adaptive Krav Maga, but with our vets. Yeah. Okay. Now, all of next year, I am hell bent on putting myself in a situation where I show up, give me some vets, visible scars, non-visible scars. I don't give a shit, and we're gonna do Krav Maga. And if you got fucking an arm missing, believe me, I got a solution for that. If you got legs missing, I got solutions for that. If you've got inside turmoil, I got a solution for that, because they need to feel like warriors again. Not the warriors they were before. That day is done. Yep. But there's still a warrior inside of you. There's still something awesome inside of you, and we need to wake that shit up. And not on fucking pills, not on anything else. We're gonna wake it up and let you see that you can do blah blah blah, whatever it is. Yeah. And that's my current, I would say my current passion, or my, if I could do one thing and then bite the dust, if I could just assist, I don't want to say help, assist men and women who have fucking paid some serious sacrifices for this country. If I can just let them have that one glimmer of, you know what? I feel alive.
Yep. Then,
brother, I can fucking bite the dust with a smile on my face and say, you know what? At least I did one thing correctly. And awesome. So so if anybody's listening to this, okay, for those of you, can you hear me in the back? I'm trying to organize seminars. And the VA, you know, I don't know. Look, I'm not a military guy. I have no idea about the VA. I just hear fucking negative shit about the VA. So I don't give a shit what organization, as long as they're legit and they're not the fucking some scamming bullshit one that ripping off people. Yeah. But I want to be able to go to places, show up. I'll promote the shit out of it, but let me show up and just do my thing with a group of fucking awesome men and women who want to sit there and remember that, you know what, it's a politically incorrect situation. We're going right back into cussing and swearing and doing a healthy transformation to their current moment. Now, I'm not living in the fucking past. Yep. Current moment, this is what we got to deal with, and this is what we're going to deal with, and boom, we're going to move forward from here and just feel alive.
There's a foundation actually that I just interviewed a guy, Rory Hamill. I don't know if you listen to that podcast.
I haven't heard it yet, no.
Yeah, so he's an amputee, lives in New Jersey, and he works for a foundation called We Defy. Have you heard of We Defy?
I think social media wise, I've seen the logo and people have talked about it, but I haven't looked into them, no.
Yeah, so We Defy, like they do like jujitsu.
Okay. Oh, fuck. Okay. Yes. Yeah. Yep. So I think it'd be kind of cool if you can even get in with a foundation like that, where it's like, They're already going there, right? With the jiu-jitsu. They're already
there. So it's like, okay, cool. Let's bring in some Krav Maga into this.
I would do that in a fucking heartbeat.
Sure. So let me see if I can't connect you with Rory, because he's like a director, I think, with them. I don't know.
Awesome.
Don't quote me on that, but I know he's in with them. You know what I mean? So
right on.
If I can make that connection, I'd be more than happy to.
Let's do it. And then, like, I love traveling. Okay, I do. I mean, I shouldn't say I love traveling. I love when I go to these countries and people are given 100%. You know, because it's not cheap, right? I'm going to countries where people are fucking taking a 4-hour train or a 4-hour bus ride to get to these things and spending money they don't have. Yeah. When I see that kind of stuff and just watching transformations, right? Watching men or women who have been abused and they're coming in, they're doing cool shit and they're yucking the shit out of things and they're smiling, laughing at violence. They're laughing at violence. They're smiling at the violence, even with all the shit coming in from their head, and they're looking at it and they're not afraid of it anymore. They're not shut down. Yep. They're smiling in the face of violence. Now, was it smiling in the face of adversity, right? Yep. When I see that, every fucking time I bitch and complain about being in a hotel room, or I'm fucking tired, or I don't want to be on anymore.
Right.
It's those fucking things that pop into my head. I'm like, you know what, Marcus, shut your punk ass up and get some sleep, recharge the battery, and go out and keep doing whatever it is. I don't even know what the fuck I do, to be honest with you. I yell at people, tell them do some fucking burpees, keep your hands up, hit somebody in the middle, and, you know, I teach some fucking moves, and, you know, it's not rocket science.
I get it.
Right? It's not fucking rocket science. Right. Anybody could do it. Yeah. I just happened to, somebody saw something in me and said, Marcus, we believe that you have the skill set magazine, if you're listening.
Nice plug.
Thank you very much. You have the skill set and you have something, whatever it is. And I have to trust in the fact that people who are smarter than me think that I got something to offer, so I'm going to go and do it. I'm going to do it to the best of my ability. Am I the fucking best Krav Maga instructor in the world? Fuck no. There are thousands of people who can kick my ass technique-wise and kick my ass teaching-wise and have better blah, blah, blah. Cool.
Yeah.
Right on. That's what the fucking world is. You're supposed to go and sample all sorts of shit.
Yep.
The only thing I can do is that when violence comes and knocks on your door again, which it will, the next time it comes in, if you haven't had it or if you have had it, regardless, when violence knocks on your door, you're going to open that bitch up, you're going to smile and be like, it's about fucking time. I've been waiting for you. And you're going to kick the shit out of that violence, whatever that violence is, physical or mental, and you're going to start living and you're going to start walking forward. And if that's what I get at the end of my day, I'm good with that. I'm happy as a pig and shit on that.
It's fucking legit.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a couple questions, dude.
Okay.
First one being, if you had one person or one book or whatever, it could be anything, that inspired you the most in your entire life.
Yep.
Who would it be or what would it be and why?
Okay, so I have a good answer for that. So a book that I carry with me, it's my Bible, okay?
Actually has it right here in his back. Right?
It's a book by a guy named David Rutherford.
I have this very book.
Do you? Okay.
I do. Yep.
So it's called Guide to Self-Confidence. And David Rutherford's a guy who's on the Team Never Quit podcast with Marcus Luttrell. But that book that you're holding, the timing of it and everything, it changed the vocabulary that I have in my head. It changed everything. Everything, how I teach everything, combat the negative insurgency, swim buddies, and getting hammered, and cold, wet, and sandy, and all these terms. That book, for lack of a better, I'm not embellishing, that book changed everything. Now, David's gone in a different direction on how he promotes stuff, but that Team Frog Logic, that Frog Logic mentality changed everything. And I've given that book out to dozens of people. I referenced it for the last, 7 years.
Yeah.
And that is my Bible.
Yeah, this is so for the listeners, it's the Frog Logic Field Manuals for Adults.
Yeah.
Self-Confidence by David Rutherford.
Yeah.
And he was an ex-Navy SEAL and a behavioral training specialist.
Yeah.
So I actually own this book as well, and it's an amazing book. And if you guys haven't checked out their podcast, you should. The Team Never Quit podcast.
Yeah, they're fantastic.
I mean, they're awesome,
David's on fucking. Totally. He's a madman. He is. I'm pretty sure that corpses get up and move when that motherfucker starts talking, man. He is so jazzed up. He's fantastic. And yeah, that's the one book. The second book that is more recent is actually not anything, because I try to read anything that will help me get better, Totally. But the second book that has been really helpful is it's a novel, The Terminal List, by a guy named Jack Carr. And it's just it's a nonfiction novel about a character named James Reese, who's a SEAL, shockingly, because the owner or the writer, Jack Carr, is a former SEAL. But it's ignited my love for reading again. Yeah. Because when you read just to learn shit, that's good. I mean, that's fantastic. It's awesome. Yeah. My mother, for all of her faults, was a voracious reader. Voracious. Fuck, she would read all sorts of books. And I mean, comic books, I'm a comic book geek, man. I am a fucking comic book geek. I am the epitome of comic book geek. Fucking Batman is the shit. I'm not going to argue with it.
Who wins, Superman or Batman?
Fuck off. Only Batman. Batman will win, because Superman's a pussy. You can see all the people right now. Are you on fucking crack? Superman's the most powerful alien there is. Yeah, he's an alien. Give him some kryptonite, shove it up his ass. But the Terminal List, it really just made me want to continue reading. And I've said this to Jack Carr, who may listen to this podcast. I'm sure he will, because I'm going to fucking throw it at him and be like, look, listen to me fucking talk about shit. But it's a fantastic read, and it's engaging. It makes me want to read more. Yeah. And that, as adults, is something I think that we forget about. Oh, totally. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
So between David Rutherford's book, which is my Bible, and then the start of this Terminal List, which has been just fantastic. I think they got a movie deal, so it's going to be pretty fucking awesome. But those are definitely the two books.
Nice, brother.
Yep.
And what's the so the second question is, if there was one thing in your life that you could do differently, You could go over and do back. And, I always play with the question. And it's like, oh, yeah, what's the one regret you had that you wish you could do over? And it sounds like a downer, but like I've shared with other people on the podcast, like I go to Kathleen's grandma. I went to my grandma before she died.
Yep.
And I would ask her, like, what was your worst regret? What's something that I wasn't asking her to be a dick. I wasn't asking her to be like, make her relive any of that stuff. I was asking her because I want to know, because I don't want to, if I ever get to that place in my life, like I want to remember this conversation.
Fuck yeah.
And I want to learn from it. So what would that be for you?
I have two, but the main one, which I use still to this day in my teaching, is when I think I was 16, break dancer. I got a fucking gold stripe in my head, just stand out like a fucking sore thumb in the school that I went to for a small amount of time. And these other guys, group of guys, just fucking hated me. And so they were pushing, shoving. Anyways, we ended up with a scrap. And then we're like, at 3 o'clock, we're going to go and fight. Now, it was just like the fucking movies. 3 o'clock at the tennis courts. So there's a fenced off area, and I took off because I still had 2 hours, and so I ran, got my guys from the other school that I went to. We're gonna have a big fucking rumble. Well, it didn't turn out that, but it was surrounded by the entire school.
Oh yeah.
And this guy's fucking 6'2", and I'm 5 foot whatever I am, but definitely, and he's tall and skinny, and I hadn't had a huge amount of fights like that. I mean, we had unfair fights, fucking 6-on-1s and shit, like that kind of punk ass stuff. Yeah. So I go to fight this guy, and he fucking breaks my nose. And anyways, the point of this is I lost the fight. It was obvious I lost the fight. Yeah. And the next day, I didn't go back to school. I told my mom, I said, I'm not fucking going back. Put me in another school. I'm going to get kicked out anyways again, but I'm not going back.
Is it the embarrassment?
Yep. Fuck yeah. Not hundreds, dozens of people are there watching me get my ass kicked. Now, the reason I use that is because I end up years later bumping into one guy, not the guy that I fought, but one of those guys. And he's like, dude, why didn't you come back? You know how much fucking we respected you that you fought that guy? If you'd come back, probably you would have fought again, but we respected you for standing up and fighting him. Yeah. And so I've got lots of young guys that are like, in my seminars or whatever, I'm like, look, you get your ass kicked, the next day you get the fuck back to school. I don't give a shit how embarrassing it is. You fight him again or whatever. You keep fighting, because there's the regret of not going back and the shame that came with that. Oh, yeah. How much of a fucking loser I was for not going back was massive. Now, people say that your past, whatever you did that fucked up, molds you into who you are now because you've learned from those mistakes. And that's very possible.
You try to, yeah.
Yep. But that is definitely one of them where I'm like, you know what? Fuck. If I'd gone back, I don't know what would have happened. And the last one really quickly is I went to my first wrestling practice in grade 8. It was fucking hard. And I wish I would have not quit. Yeah. Because for all those wrestlers out there, you guys know it's fucking the best sport on the planet. And it just would have fit really good.
Totally.
So now that I'm getting to 50, I'm going to find a wrestling club. I'm going to be like, okay, take care of the old guy, and I'm going to fucking do single legs. Vincent Vargas, you know who that is?
Yeah.
I'm going to be like, Vincent, I'm coming to Utah, and I'm going to wrestle with your fucking kids. They're going to kick the shit out of me, and I'm going to wrestle you big bastard, and you're going to kick the shit out of me, and I'm going to learn how to wrestle at 50.
Yeah, fuck yeah.
So there you go.
No, it's cool. I think it's so true with a lot of things in life, right? That when they say like pain is temporary.
Yeah,
but quitting lasts fucking forever.
Yep. Eric Thomas.
For anything in my life that I've ever quit.
Yep.
I've never forgotten.
Yep.
It's always been in the back. I mean, it may not be in my, awareness, every single day.
No.
And,
but it gnaws. It's a fucking gremlin that'll sit there.
Definitely. It's in the back being like, dude, you fucking quit, you pussy.
Yep. And there's no reason to do it.
Yeah. But I think that's why, like, as I've gotten older, and I said this to Jeff, was like, as I've gotten older, I think I'm physically and mentally stronger than I've ever been. Yeah. And I think that's part of it, because like now I know it's like the things that I have quit, it's like the shame and the guilt and the regret.
I'm not doing that
like,
again.
No, fuck that. I'm never quitting.
Yep.
I'd rather die. You know?
Or and you do things now to almost try to make up for what you did in the past.
Absolutely.
Right?
Man.
And
Absolutely.
I think that's just human nature. I think
sure.
that's just the creatures that we are that do that.
Absolutely, man.
Yeah.
So where can people find you? What's the best way for people to connect with you?
You know what? Instagram seems to be the best platform. I'm on Facebook. I got 2 pages. I got a work page, and I got this fucking, I hate even saying it, it's a fan page. It's so fucking
so cute.
Stupid. But because you're maxed out after a certain number on Facebook, right? So I'm close to that, and then there's but that's work stuff. Like that, the personal page is like a work one, and then the other one is where I fucking, if my rambling goes over a minute, the Instagram says it's over a minute, then I just put it on that other page.
So you're on Facebook. Where on Facebook?
Yeah, it's under Marcus Torgerson.
Okay.
Yep.
And then Instagram?
And it's Marcus Torgerson.
Okay.
Yep.
So at Marcus Torgerson.
Yep. All one word.
All right.
Yeah.
Squared away. And so can people go to you for private lessons? Do you do private lessons, or are you only doing seminars?
I usually only do seminars. There's a rare time that if I'm in a country and they set it up ahead of time and it doesn't conflict with anything, then I will. But generally speaking, the seminars is where I prefer that better.
So if an old guy like me that's kind of broken down and I hit you up and was like, hey man, I'm going to be in Texas, I want to train with you for a little bit.
Fuck yeah. Yep. In a heartbeat. Yep.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Yep.
I'm going to hit you up on that.
Fuck, do it.
Because I'm in Dallas actually quite often.
Are you?
Twice a year. I'm there for sure twice a year.
Yeah?
But sometimes more. Yeah.
Fuck
my buddy lives in Sunset. So
okay. Well,
I don't know if you know where that is.
No, I have
over
no clue. Texas is fucking huge, brother.
No, dude, it's
how many
Fort
hours?
Worth.
How many hours is it from Fort Worth?
Not even an hour.
Okay.
So it's like, what's
you know
Decatur?
that Texas.
Do you know where Decatur is?
Yep.
It's by Decatur. It's by Bowie.
Yep.
It's kind of it's in the sticks, dude.
Okay.
But he has 10 acres out there. We go out there and have dude. You're coming actually. I don't even know if you know this yet, but you know now. In April, if you're in the country, April 6th, I think it's the weekend of April 6th, we'll be at his house in Sunset.
Okay.
And we have a pig picking. So we go and we either kill a hog, or we use one that he's raising, and we kill it, slaughter it, and then we smoke it, and everyone's there drinking moonshine. And I mean, obviously I'm not drinking the moonshine, but a lot of other people are. They have guns that you've probably never seen before.
Awesome. I don't know. I've seen a lot of guns. That's awesome.
So maybe,
that's sexy.
Not ones so like, we're out there shooting guns, shotguns, and they have
not at the same time though. Right? We're not drinking moonshine and shooting at the same time. We're supposed to be responsible. Hello, I'm a very responsible gun owner, just for those that are listening. I would never, ever condone drinking and shooting. It's terrible. Cover your ass, brother. CYA.
Yeah, CYA.
Yeah.
So the moonshine and the guns and ammunition do not go hand in hand. There's one, then there's the other.
Yep, awesome.
Totally.
No, I'd love it. I'd love that. That'd be fantastic. That'd be a fantastic opportunity to do some Krav Maga.
Absolutely. There's a bunch of people there. A lot of veterans come.
And awesome.
So it's super cool. And there's a place for you to crash. You know, we have there's a trailer on site, and he has his house there and whatever.
Beautiful.
And so yeah, man, I'd love to have you out
there.
Done.
If I'm in the country, I'm good to go.
All right, fuck yeah, dude. Thank you so much for coming on, sharing your story, being willing to be vulnerable. A lot of men are not willing to do that.
Yeah.
And own their stories. And I can tell just by meeting you now in person, but also by following your social media, that you are on the path to being the best version of who you can be.
Yeah.
And I think it's fucking commendable and awesome, man. So I really hope that you keep that up.
Yeah.
Because I think you're touching a lot more lives than you're aware of.
I hope so.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you, man.
Oh, thank you, brother. Appreciate you.
Later.
Thank you for listening to My Backstory. Stay motivated and stay connected off the show. Follow at my_backstory_ to be a part of the journey to recovery and to see where your story goes. Or visit us online at hereismybackstory.com.